on a sinking ship. Brightly lit decks, wet coils of rope, a short circuit crackling. Then only bubbles rising to the surface. Chapter 1. The VOC Mentality. Why Indonesia Wrote World History. It was the loudest explosion I'd ever heard. I was at work in my hotel along Jalan Wahid Hasim, a street in the centre of Jakarta, when from down the road came what sounded like a huge thunderclap. But the morning sky was a steely blue, as it had been the day before, and the day before that. Had a lorry exploded? A gas tank? From my window, I couldn't see a plume of smoke anywhere, but my modest little hotel looked out over just one small corner of the city. Jakarta, with 10 million inhabitants, is a sprawling megalopolis covering almost 700 square kilometres. If you counted satellite cities, the population is no less than 30 million. 5 minutes later, Jean called, in a total panic. It seemed so unlike her. We'd met 6 months earlier at a language course in Yogyakarta. She was a young French freelance journalist and one of the most relaxed travellers I had encountered. Jean was based in Jakarta and, at that very moment, on her way to my hotel. We planned to spend the day visiting retirement homes in outlying districts, in search of eyewitnesses to history. She would interpret for me, as she had before. But now she was in tears. "There's been an attack. I had to run from the shooting, and I'm hiding in the mall around the corner from you." Out into the street. The usual endless honking traffic had been replaced by a crowd of hundreds and hundreds. Multitudes of the city's poor were holding up their smartphones to film the scene. 400 metres further, at the crossroads of my street and Jalan Thamrin, Jakarta's central traffic artery, we saw a dead body on the ground, a man on his back recently killed. His feet pointed into the air, an unnatural sight. Policemen and soldiers were holding back the crowd. The situation was not yet under control. On the pavement to my left, I saw Jean approaching. We stared at the scene in disbelief, hugged, and rushed back to my hotel room. Today would not be about the 1930s and 40s. The attacks of the 14th of January 2016 were the first in Jakarta in 7 years. Members of an extremist Muslim group had driven up to a police post and opened fire. A bomb had gone off near a Burger King and a Starbucks, the bang I'd heard, and then 2 of the terrorists had blown themselves up in a car park. You can still find videos online. There were embassies, luxury hotels, and a major United Nations office nearby, but we would later learn that those had not been direct targets. 8 people were killed, including 4 attackers, and 24 were injured. Once Jean had recovered from the shock, she went straight to work. She wrote press releases for lots of French newspapers and websites, and she kept up with the latest news on my television so that she could send updates to Paris. We trawled the internet in every language we knew. By then, I had made a few posts to social media, and the first newspapers and radio stations were calling for information and interviews. For the rest of the day, the hotel room became the nerve centre, feeding information to the French, Belgian, Swiss, and, to a lesser extent, Dutch media. The Netherlands still has a few correspondents of its own in Jakarta. I remember that at one stage, Jean sat down on the carpet in the hotel corridor for a radio interview with France Inter, while I was talking live to a Flemish television channel on Skype. We went on without a break until late afternoon, by which time we both had splitting headaches and decided to stop for lunch. The next day, it was all over. As soon as it became clear that this was not an attack like the one in Bali in 2002, which left 200 dead, mostly Westerners, or a tsunami like the one in Aceh in 2004, which